I never should have tried to prank Jamal on our wedding night. Everyone said we were too young, 24 and 25, that we moved too fast, that love like ours burns hot and burns out. But when you know, you know. Jamal Washington was the calm to my storm, the steady hand that kept me from spinning out. 6'3", deep brown skin, that low chuckle that made my knees betray me every time. We'd been together 3 years, engaged for 8 months, and today, June 14th, 2025, in front of 300 people at the Crystal Terrace in downtown Atlanta, we finally became Mr. and Mrs. Washington. The reception had been perfect. Open bar, live band, my cousins twerking on tables, Jamal's frat brothers doing the Kappa shimmy in their tuxes. By 1:30 a.m. the ballroom was emptying, and the two of us slipped away to the bridal suite on the 28th floor like giggling teenagers. The suite was ridiculous. Rose petals on the king bed, champagne on ice, floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out over the sleeping city. Jamal carried me over the threshold, kissed me slow, told me he couldn't believe I was finally his wife. I melted. Then, somewhere between the third glass of champagne and him unbuttoning that tux, my stupid brain remembered the prank I'd planned months ago. I'd seen it on TikTok. Bride hides under the bed on the wedding night, waits for the groom to start looking for her, then jumps out and scares the hell out of him. Harmless. Hilarious. The comments were full of husbands screaming like little girls. I'd even bought a cheap white silk robe that matched my second dress, so I could slide under the bed without wrecking my actual gown. Jamal was in the bathroom brushing his teeth, humming "Spend My Life With You" off-key. Perfect timing. I kicked off my heels, grabbed the robe, and whispered, "Hey babe, pour me one more glass. I'm gonna freshen up real quick." He called back, "Anything for you, Mrs. Washington." God, that still gave me butterflies. I tiptoed across the carpet, dropped to my knees, and shimmied under the bed like a damn ninja. The frame was high enough that I fit comfortably on my stomach, phone in hand, camera already recording video through the little gap between the dust ruffle and the floor. I could see his polished shoes when he walked back in. I bit my lip to keep from laughing. He set the glasses down on the nightstand. I heard the clink, then the soft pop of the champagne bottle opening again. He poured. Took a sip. Waited. "Keisha?" I pressed my lips together so hard they hurt. "Baby, where you at?" He walked toward the bathroom. I watched his shoes disappear behind the door. Water ran. He was probably checking if I was redoing my makeup or something. Men are so predictable. He came back out. "Keisha, stop playing." His voice had that playful edge I loved. I almost felt bad. Almost. He sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress dipped above me. I could see his feet now barefoot, still in the tux pants. He pulled out his phone, started scrolling. I waited for him to call my name again. Maybe start fake panicking so I could burst out laughing and win the prank war forever. But then the door to the suite clicked open. I froze. We'd hung the "Do Not Disturb" sign. Housekeeping wasn't supposed to come until morning. Jamal had double-locked the door. I'd watched him do it. Soft footsteps. Heels. Definitely heels on the carpet. Jamal stood up fast. "What the fuck?" he started. "Shoo," a woman whispered. "You text me to come up here." My heart stopped. I knew that voice. I knew it like I knew my own reflection. It was Brianna, my maid of honor, my best friend since freshman year at Spelman. The girl who'd held my hair when I had food poisoning, who helped me pick this exact wedding dress, who gave a tear-jerking speech 4 hours ago about how Jamal was the brother she never had and how she was so happy her sister finally found her forever. Brianna was in our bridal suite. At 2:17 a.m. on my wedding night. I couldn't breathe. Jamal's voice dropped to this low, panicked hush. "Bri, I told you we can't do this anymore. Tonight of all nights. You think I flew all the way down here to watch you marry her and just smile?" Brianna's voice cracked. "I've been in love with you for 2 years, Jamal. 2 years." I felt the room spin even though I was lying perfectly still. 2 years. We'd only been engaged 8 months. I did the math in my head like a masochist. 2 years ago was right after Jamal and I moved in together. Right after he proposed to me on the rooftop of Ponce City Market with the ring he saved 6 months for. Brianna kept talking. You said after the wedding you'd leave her. You promised me, Jamal. You said once the families were happy and the pictures were taken, we could stop pretending. Jamal whispered, Keep your voice down, she's in the bathroom or wherever. You said she was drunk and passed out by now. I tasted blood. I'd bitten my tongue so hard it split open. There was rustling.
Fabric.
Then the unmistakable sound of kissing.
Vet, desperate kissing.
I wanted to scream. I wanted to slide out and claw both their eyes out. But I couldn't move. My body had locked up like someone poured cement in my veins. Brianna again breathy. I brought the lingerie you like. The red one. You said you wished Keisha was more adventurous in bed, remember? Tonight I'm your wife. Jamal groaned. Actually groaned. Then my phone, which I'd been gripping so hard the case creaked, slipped an inch. The corner of it bumped the bed frame. Click. The screen, which had been on silent, somehow flipped to the home screen, and the volume rocker must have gotten pressed, because suddenly my phone was at full blast. And the last thing I'd been doing on it before I started recording the prank video? I'd been on FaceTime with my little sister Tasha, showing her this sweet earlier. The call had never actually ended. It just went to the black screen when I put the phone face down. And now, at maximum volume, Tasha's voice blasted from under the bed like a gunshot. Keisha? Keisha, you there? Why is it all dark? Hello? Silence. Dead silence. Then Brianna. What the fuck was that? Jamal. Turn the light on. The bedside lamp clicked. I saw Brianna's stilettos first, red bottoms, the ones I'd helped her pick out yesterday. Then her ankles. Then the red lace garters. She bent down. Her face appeared under the dust ruffle. Our eyes locked. For 1 second the whole world stopped. Then she screamed. I screamed. Jamal yelled, Keisha. I scrambled out from under the bed like a wild animal, rose petals sticking to my arms, veil crooked, tears already streaming. Brianna stumbled backward into Jamal's arms like he was still protecting her. I stood there in my wedding dress, chest heaving, staring at the two people I loved most in this world. And then I laughed. I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. Because the universe has a sick sense of humor. Brianna started crying. Keisha, I'm so sorry, Jamal reached for me. Baby, listen. I slapped him so hard my palm stung for an hour afterward. Don't you dare, I said, voice shaking. Don't you dare call me baby. Tasha was still yelling through the phone on the floor. What is happening?
Keisha?
Somebody talk to me. I picked up the phone, turned the camera around so she could see all three of us. Her mouth dropped open. I looked Jamal dead in the eye. 2 years? I asked.
He couldn't even speak.
Brianna was sobbing into her hands, red lipstick smeared, mascara running rivers down her cheeks. I looked at her. You gave a whole speech tonight about sisterhood, about protecting my heart. Remember that part? She wouldn't look at me. I turned back to Jamal. You put this ring on my finger 12 hours ago and said in front of God and everybody. Was that a lie too? He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I nodded slowly. Okay, I said. Then I did the only thing I could think to do. I hit end call on Tasha, opened Instagram Live, and flipped the camera. 387 people joined in the first 10 seconds. By the time I spoke, it was over 2,000. I looked straight into the lens. This is my wedding night, I said, voice steady as death. And my husband and my maid of honor had plans of their own. I turned the camera to show them both, frozen like deer in headlights. The chat exploded. I didn't read a single comment. I just looked at Jamal one last time. I want an annulment by Monday, I told him. And Brianna? You can keep the red lingerie. Looks like it's finally your color. I grabbed my clutch, slipped my aching feet back into my heels, and walked out of that suite with my head high and my wedding dress trailing behind me like a ghost. The elevator ride down was the longest 30 seconds of my life. When the doors opened to the lobby, half the night staff was staring. Someone must have seen the live. I didn't care. I walked straight out the revolving doors into the Atlanta summer night, got in the first Uber I saw, and went home to the apartment Jamal and I shared. No, the apartment that was mine now. I left the dress in a heap on the living room floor, took off the rings, poured myself a glass of wine with the bottle we were supposed to save for our first anniversary. And somewhere around 4 a.m., when the city was quiet and my phone had died from all the notifications, I finally let myself cry. Not for the marriage. Not even for the betrayal. I cried because I'd almost had it all. And because the prank I thought would be the funniest moment of my life ended up being the moment I learned some jokes aren't worth telling, some secrets aren't worth keeping. And some people never deserved you in the first place. By morning, the video had 40 million views. By Monday, the annulment papers were signed. By the end of the month, I'd moved to New York, changed my last name back to Brooks, and started therapy. And I never hid under another bed again. Some places, once you see what's really underneath, you can never unsee. The radiator in my new apartment clanks like it's trying to speak Morse code. I'm sitting on the floor in front of the window, knees pulled to my chest, watching snow fall on 125th Street. The city's quiet tonight, the kind of quiet that feels like the world is holding its breath right before it punches you again. My phone is face down on the coffee table behind me. I haven't looked at it in 3 hours, which is a personal record. 40 million views turned into 75 million, then 130. The clip got remixed, slowed down, sped up, set to sad violin music, set to trap beats. Someone made an NFT of Brianna's scream. Someone else sold, "I want an annulment by Monday" t-shirts. I still get tagged in memes every single day. I thought distance would mute it. New York was supposed to be my witness protection program. New job, junior art director at a boutique ad agency in Soho. New friends who only know the Keisha who laughs too loud at brunch. New last name on my driver's license, Keisha Brooks again. Like the marriage was a typo I finally corrected. But tonight the past crawled through the vents at IT started with a text from an unknown number at 11:47 p.m. Unknown. "You still up, Mrs. Washington?" I stared at it for 20 minutes before I blocked it. Then another number. Unknown. "Don't block me. We need to talk." Then a third. With a photo attachment. I opened it before I could stop myself. IT was a sonogram. 12 weeks. The little bean shape had a caption typed underneath. "Your husband didn't waste any time." My stomach flipped so hard, I tasted bile. Brianna was pregnant. Of course she was. I poured a glass of wine I didn't drink and sat on the floor, waiting for the next bomb to drop. It always does. At 1:03 a.m., my little sister Tasha FaceTimed me from Atlanta. Her face filled the screen, eyes red, curls wild like she'd been pulling at them. "Kuish," she whispered. "Mama just called me crying. Brianna and Jamal are at the house. They brought Mama's pastor with them. They're telling everybody they're getting married on New Year's Eve and that God forgave them and the baby needs a stable home. And they want Mama to convince you to forgive them publicly so the family can heal." I laughed. I actually laughed until I couldn't breathe. Tasha didn't. "They're saying if you don't forgive them on video, they'll sue you for defamation because you ruined their reputations and caused Brianna emotional distress that threatened the pregnancy." I stopped laughing. "Tasha," I said slowly, "tell Mama I'll be home for Christmas." She blinked. "You're coming back to Atlanta?" "Day after tomorrow," I said. "Book me the earliest Delta flight you can find. And don't tell anyone. Not even Mama. Especially not Mama." I hung up, opened my laptop, and bought the ticket myself. 6:10 a.m. out of LaGuardia. Then I did something I swore I'd never do again. I opened Instagram and went to Jamal's page. Private now, of course. But Brianna's was still public. She'd changed her handle to @Mrs. Washington 2B and her bio read, "Redeemed by Grace." Mommy to be 04/26. There were new photos. Her in a white dress, not a wedding dress, but close enough, holding a tiny pair of Air Jordans. Jamal kissing her forehead. Them in front of the Christmas tree at his parents' house. The same tree we used to decorate together. The last post was a video, posted 4 hours ago. Brianna, teary-eyed, rubbing her still flat stomach. "I never meant to hurt anyone. she said to the camera. Especially not my sister. What happened was a mistake born out of pain and confusion. But God is turning it into a blessing. Jamal and I are choosing love and choosing family. All we want is peace and forgiveness this Christmas. Keisha, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. I hope one day you can find it in your heart to forgive us both. Comments were disabled. I stared at that video until the screen went black. Then I stood up, walked to my closet, and pulled out the one thing I brought with me from Atlanta that I swore I'd burn. My wedding dress. Still in the garment bag. Still smelling faintly of rose petals and betrayal. I laid it across the bed and stared at it for a long time. Then I opened my suitcase and packed. December 24th, 2025. Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, 11:22 a.m. Tasha met me at baggage claim wearing sunglasses indoors and a hoodie pulled low. She hugged me so hard my spine cracked. You look good, she whispered. Too good. Like you're about to do something evil. I smiled. I'm just coming home for Christmas, baby sis. She didn't believe me. Smart girl. Mama's house smelled like collards and peach cobbler when we pulled up. The porch was wrapped in lights, same as every year. But there was a new car in the driveway, Jamal's blacked-out Charger. My chest tightened. Tasha grabbed my hand. You sure about this? I squeezed back. Open the door. We walked in. The living room went silent. Mama was on the couch in her Christmas robe, eyes puffy. Aunties on both sides like rival football teams. Jamal's parents stood by the tree. Pastor Rollins sat in Daddy's old recliner. Before he passed, nobody sat there but him. And there, in the center of it all, stood Jamal and Brianna. She was showing now just a little bump under a red velvet dress. Her hand rested protectively over it. Jamal had his arm around her shoulders. When he saw me, his whole body jerked like I'd tossed him. Keisha, Mama breathed, standing up. Baby. I smiled the sweetest smile I could muster. Merry Christmas, everybody. Brianna's eyes filled instantly. Keisha, thank you for... I held up a hand. I didn't come to fight. Jamal finally spoke, voice rough. Then why are you here? I reached into the tote bag on my shoulder and pulled out a thick manila envelope. I walked straight to Brianna and handed it to her. She looked confused. What is this? Open it. Her fingers shook as she tore it open. Inside were two things. First, a certified copy of the annulment decree, already signed by the judge and filed. Second, a check for $87,400. Brianna looked up, tears spilling. Keisha, I don't want your money. That's every dime Jamal spent on the wedding that came from our joint account, I said calmly. Vendors, venue deposit, my dress, the cake, the photographer, everything I could get refunded or resold. The rest came out of my savings. I don't want a single penny that man ever touched. The room was a graveyard. I turned to Jamal. Consider us square. He couldn't look at me. Then I reached back into the bag and pulled out the garment bag. I unzipped it slowly. The wedding dress spilled out like a ghost. Gasps all around. Mama started crying harder. I held the dress up by the hanger. This, I said, was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the day I learned exactly who both of you are. Brianna was sobbing now. Keisha, please. I looked at her. Really looked at her. You want forgiveness? I asked softly. She nodded frantically. I smiled. And then, in front of God, Mama, Pastor Rollins, and every nosy auntie in South Atlanta, I took the dress in both hands and ripped it clean down the middle. The sound of $12,000 worth of French lace tearing is something I'll remember forever. I let the pieces fall to the hardwood floor. There, I said. I forgive the dress. It never did anything wrong. As for the two of you, I'm working on it. But today's not that day. I turned to Mama. I love you. I'll be back tomorrow for Christmas dinner. Tonight, I'm staying at the Lowe's with Tasha. I kissed her wet cheek, hugged my sister, and walked out. Jamal followed me onto the porch. Keisha, wait. I spun around. No, you don't get to do this anymore. I never meant. Stop. My voice sliced clean. You meant every second of it.
2 years, Jamal.
2 years you looked me in my face every single day and lied. You don't get to rewrite that now because she's pregnant and your mom is ashamed. He swallowed hard. Do you ever think about what we could have been? I looked at him for a long time. Then I laughed, soft and sad. Every day for the first 2 months, I said. Then I stopped. Because the man I loved never existed. He was a costume you wore until something shinier came along. I stepped off the porch. Snow had started falling in Atlanta, rare and perfect. I looked back one last time. Congratulations on the baby, I said. I hope she has my eyes. So, every time you look at her, you remember exactly what you threw away. I got in Tasha's car and didn't look back. December 25th, 2025. Mama's dining room, 3 p.m. Christmas dinner was interesting. Jamal and Brianna didn't come. Mama said they went to Hisprin's house instead. Fine by me. The table was full anyway. Cousins, uncles, Tasha's new girlfriend from GSU, Mama at the head wearing her Christmas crown like nothing happened. At one point Mama raised her glass. To new beginnings, she said, looking right at me. Everyone drank. Later, when the dishes were done and the kids were tearing through wrapping paper, Mama pulled me into the kitchen. She pressed something into my hand at Daddy's old wedding band. Simple gold, worn smooth. He'd want you to have this, she said. Not for a man.
For you.
So, you remember love is supposed to feel like coming home, not like hiding under a bed. I slipped it on my right ring finger. It fit perfectly. January 1st, 2026. Times Square, 11:59 p.m. I'm back in New York, standing in the freezing cold with 50,000 strangers, watching the ball drop. My phone buzzes with a text from a number I haven't saved. Jamal, Happy New Year. We got married today. I just wanted you to hear it from me. I stare at the message for a full minute. Then I type back one line. Keisha, I hope she loves you better than you ever loved me. I hit send, block the number, and turn my phone off. The ball drops. The crowd screams. I tilt my head back and let the confetti fall on my face like forgiveness. I finally gave myself. Somewhere in Atlanta, a new marriage begins. Somewhere in Manhattan, an old wound finally closes. And under no bed, in no city, on no night, will I ever hide again. I am Keisha Brooks. I am enough.